Hello, social workers, mental health professionals, and change agents. Welcome to another episode of the Social Work Rants podcast. I'm your host, Bas Moreno. Saludos a todos. Greetings, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, tapping in wherever you are watching or listening to this podcast. I appreciate all the love and support. Gracias a todos por su apoyo. We are moving on to season 7. I know I did a live recently, or the last episode I did. We're gearing a little bit towards doing something more like entrepreneurship related to social work. That's still to be determined if I'm moving forward completely with that. But if you've been listening to season 7, like I've been touching on, or even before season 7, touching on entrepreneurship stuff, because we need to do more with our social work skills and not focus on just licensing stuff. And we could do so many things, and like podcasting, and my, myself, my 2 books, and just speaking engagements, and just whatever you could do to maximize or use your degree to really maximize your earning potential. So with that being said, you can follow the podcast on all social media outlets. Instagram at the Social Work Rants Podcast. That is on one word. Twitter, X, whatever Elon calls it this week, at Social Work Rants. I'm debating possibly leaving X Twitter because it's not popping like it used to, especially on the social work side of things. So, and of course, Facebook, aka Meta, type in the Social Work Rants Podcast, hit that like button. That has actually been growing pretty rapidly. So shout out to everybody that's following the page. So, I guess at this time, if you're not following this talented social worker, you are doing yourself uh, incredible disservice to yourself. Um, Catherine Moore, licensed clinical social worker out in California. This is the second time I've been on the podcast. I can't believe it's been like already over 3 years since you came on the podcast. That's
That's
crazy.
crazy. Has it been that long?
Yeah, it has. So she has an amazing podcast, top 10 podcasts in the world, for social work podcast. So make sure you subscribe to her podcast, follow her. She does some amazing things and been doing a lot of great things in the last 3 years since she's been on. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and maximizing your MSW or even your BSW, and just you know maximizing your skills and relates to entrepreneurship, and not needing your license to make some money in this field. So Catherine, welcome again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. And shout out to you for also being top 10 among social work podcasters.
Thank you.
We're top 10 group over here.
And we started around the same time too, so it's kind of great how far we've come in the last three years and change.
Yeah, because I started the Social Workers' Rights podcast in January of 2020. When
So
did
did
you
I.
start? Oh, yeah, January. Okay. Yeah. So what made you want to start your podcast at that time?
Oh man. Well, I have a background, and I have a communications degree background. I wanted to be a sports broadcaster a long time ago, with a minor in education. And one of my friends had a podcast, and he did an episode how easy it was to even start it. And then I've been following podcasts online. Now, a media company called Earn Your Leisure. I've been talking about them off and uh, on the podcast, and like they did a whole episode about podcasting, and I was like, oh, I might as well just do it, and I did it. I had no really like reference what to talk about or how to like move forward, and like COVID kind of like spurred like all these ideas and try different things, whatever popped in my head. I just did it, and some of it clicked and worked wonderfully, and other not so much. And here we are, 3 years later, top 10.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's so amazing. And shout out to you for staying consistent because most podcasters fall off after what, 10 episodes? Like most podcasts don't go farther than that.
Yeah.
So shout out to you.
yeah, pushing 150, almost 150
Dang.
and counting. And it's
Got
getting
me
it's getting
beat.
it's got it's getting harder dropping these weekly episodes to be like, I got no idea what to talk about this week. And I want to drop something.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, that's I'm gonna have to catch up to you because I think I'm in like the 130s. So I'm right behind you.
I already marked down like the calendar for 200. It'd be like sometime like April if I'm like stay consistent. April 2024.
Hey, you doing something big? It'll be right after social work month.
Exactly. That's the whole idea to be right around social work month
That's
or just
awesome.
after. So looking
Yeah.
looking forward to hitting that big 2-0, and who knows. I'm gonna have to be like Joy and go on tour or something.
Right? Yeah. Shout out to
Yes.
Joy of social work.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah, so you've been doing such an amazing job just with your entrepreneurship work, and I know you've definitely changed jobs since you last been on. So I've changed multiple multiple jobs since I started up a podcast. So what exactly are you doing now in social work?
So I'm doing a lot of stuff. I'm doing too much, Bass, too much. So right now, my bread and butter is doing teletherapy. So I do that part time, and I really love it. I'm a LCSW in California. I like doing the teletherapy. It's working out really good. And then also too, I have the Social Workers Rise podcast, which is essentially a career development podcast for social workers. So we talk about all sorts of topics. I bring on guests to share about their experiences in the field. I like to interview people who have a non-traditional social work background too. So we've done like sports social work. We have done what we talk entrepreneurship, which we like to talk about that. Starting your own business, all sorts of different things on the podcast. It's been fun. And then next, I also have the Rise Directory, which is a directory for clinical supervisors. And through there, we're offering clinical consultation groups for our members and the community. They're free right now, but I will probably be changing that soon. So if you want to get in now. And what else we have? I just I just did or have I have a workshop coming up on essentially like how to start a podcast. And then I wrote it's a book in progress. So like how to start a podcast. It's like 49 pages on my Google Docs, and eventually I will publish it, but right now I'm just kind of getting reviews and getting feedback on how to make it better. So it's available if you guys want to purchase it, and it comes with a course too. But I was getting asked so many times, like, how do you start a podcast? I want to start a podcast. And like you said, Bass, it's not that hard, but it's not hard, but there's a lot of stuff
It's
you
just
need
a
to
lot of
know
work. It's
and a lot of
not.
work.
You just hit record and start talking,
Yeah.
but it's just if you want to like edit it, actually do a good job of editing and just come up with like good topics so that people can like click on it, and it's like coming up with
Yep.
topics. Or sometimes just life happens, and we live in a world we got Republicans acting the fool and Supreme Court acting the fool, and it's
Democrats acting a fool,
Democrats acting the
everybody.
fool too. Which I want to talk to. There's a superstar Democrat I want who's your governor that's been making the rounds for
Newsom or
Newsom.
Barbara?
Yeah, Newsom, who
Newsom, okay.
they're already grooming him for 2028. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we have a couple of social workers who are in politics over here in California. I think, oh
yeah,
man,
I think it's Barbara Lee is her name.
I think that's her name. That's what I want to say. Yeah,
And
Barbara
then
Lee.
the new mayor in Los Angeles, what's her name? Can't think of the name of the top of my.
Oh yeah, I
And I
forget her
wanted her,
name.
and I wanted her to be vice president. Is her name? Oh, Karen Bass. There you go, Karen Bass,
Yeah, yeah.
the mayor in LA. So
And what's interesting with all of these things, right? So we talked about um, podcasts,
Yeah.
politics,
Mhm.
even like when I started the directory, right? So, and I also do public speaking. So trying
Yes.
to get more into professional trainings and mental health awareness. With all of these things, you don't even need a license, which is interesting to me because I talk to so many social workers and they're so stressed out about like this license. But I think that's because the universities are
Mhm.
still pushing this traditional path of you get licensed, you get a job, and that is the end of your life, right? Like essentially that is it. But I love where we are right now with people like you and I who are we're changing the narrative, right? We're showing what is possible if you think creatively. Because I started I started the podcast from a place of like burnout. I was about to give up. I was like, screw social work. And long story short, I'm like, no, I am a social worker. I love this field. I'm gonna start changing the narrative. I'm gonna stop complaining and I'm gonna start doing something about it, which I think too is where a lot of entrepreneurs come from.
Mhm.
Is like you see a problem and social workers, we know the solutions. We know the problems with all the programs that don't work. And it's just up to us, like, are we going to do something about it, take action? Are we going to take that risk to help fix the problems in a different way?
No, absolutely. I've been talking about almost ad nauseum about how these grad schools are gearing students into private practice and then or gearing to be clinicians, and then they don't teach you the business background to run a business correctly or at all, period. And it's like, you give us private practice, you got to give us skills how to run a business or how to find clients or how to deal with insurance companies and all this stuff, and all that paperwork that goes in, and you try to get paid, and insurance companies is a pain in the ass to like deal with them so
Yeah.
you could get reimbursed for it. So it's not fun, and I'm glad there's like school social work and just pretty much anything, and there's like a whole environmental thing going on now. Recently, there's corporate social work, there's all type of different things, and like you mentioned, doing the speaking engagements, I've been you know done a few within the last year and a half, so and then I need a license to do that. So self-published book and an author in another book. So it's like that didn't involve any licensing either. It's
Yeah.
just connections and the podcast has opened the doors for all that stuff, and using this podcast as a networking tool to meet individuals like yourself and like just DMing or email or LinkedIn, and it's like, hey, I got this podcast. You want to come on? We can talk about whatever, and I see you doing good things. Like, you want to talk about and promote whatever you got going on, and kind of build those relationships so that none of that took paying almost $300 to take the test and be sitting in front of the computer for 4 hours and taking the test and worry if you passing or not. So um,
For sure. It's almost like a mindset thing though, because I think in
mhm,
this field, because there is that prestige that comes along with, oh, I am licensed,
mhm,
that people use that to hold them back, like, oh, I'm not ready because I'm not licensed. Well, I had that in my head, like I wasn't going to start applying to jobs until I was licensed, or I'm not going to ask for my raise until I'm licensed. Well, I was like real disappointed that I didn't feel any different. Like you're not any smarter once you pass this
yeah.
test. Like nothing actually changes about your skill set or anything. It's just different letters on the end of your name. And anyone outside of our field has no clue what any of that means.
I agree. I've had some not so great supervisors at their L, and it's like, really, I'm struggling to try to pass this test. It's this person's license. I can't.
Yeah, it just shows that you know how to take a test. That's it.
No, absolutely. So it's I, I I'm glad I know, as long as I can I can help it, never taking that exam again.
Yeah. And a lot of people ask me, especially people who are like, oh, I don't really know what I want to do, but I'm going to go to clinical route just because it seems safe, which is cool. And it doesn't hurt to get your license, but like you don't have to have it to be successful and to make an income in this field. The hard part is really figuring out how to get paid.
Yeah.
Because there are so many people like straight out of grad school, all these jobs, like you will always see jobs that are going to pay you pennies because they always need to hire people. Like people are always quitting, right? So those jobs are always going to be out there. And then for public speaking, I know you know this best. There are always people who will pay you nothing to go and like have you come and speak to their group. Which at this point is like kind of insulting. Like you're really not gonna like not even like $50 for like an hour. Like, come on. I mean, I'm 50 is like low, but you can't even get me like a coffee.
Or pay for my entire registration so that I don't.
Right. So at this point, it's like I do free speaking engagements if it's worth it. But now I'm like, if you can't pay me anything for my hour, for my license, for all the research that I've done, for the hours I spent putting this presentation together for you guys, like I can't do it. I can't volunteer my time anymore and I can't do it. And so it like the price needs to have a comma.
I hear that. I know that's right. I'm working to getting. I just want to get my foot in the door in terms of a couple of speaking. I actually have a announcement coming soon regarding a speaking engagement. I'm not gonna say yet, but it's coming.
Okay.
It's coming real soon. So, unfortunately, there's no commas with that, but at least making the connections. Thanks to the podcast and have already establishing a relationship and just. I finally what I did this year was like going into this year. I was like, all right. Last year I was like, how do I find out all these conferences? When these conferences are happening? How to submit proposals? So this year I was trying to be a little bit more intentional, try to get ahead of the curve, and I'm not very organized, so it's kind of hard for me to kind of like, all right, let me put this down in my phone like this. Do by this date and submit. I've been submitting proposals like crazy the
It's a
last like
lot. It's a
6
lot of
months.
work.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So it's like um and see what happens. I just submitted one for mental social work month earlier, and then hopefully that will come through. So
Awesome.
we working.
Yeah. Congratulations. That's exciting.
Yeah. So,
And we're on the Social Worker Rants podcast. So can I rant for like a minute?
no, absolutely. I think the
So
audience needs a good rant.
my beef with this is that I love social workers. I love the field of social work. I love talking to social workers. I love presenting, but man, our conferences don't pay anything. It's like volunteer. Like I would love to volunteer my time to come and make your conference an amazing event for your attendees, but that's going to cost me like a hotel room,
Mhm.
right? Like, because
I agree.
I mean, it costs money and that's a couple $100s, right? A hotel room, I'm gonna have to either cancel my therapy sessions or like reroute, so that's money lost.
Hmm.
And I just like, it's like, I can't do it. And it's like, if you want to be presenting at all these social work conferences, you better be rich or something because there's no way you're going to be able to afford to do all these things. It's like a luxury to present, especially when we're talking in person. And so, and that's the part that really bums me out because I want to talk to social workers, but I can't afford to
Hmm.
go to any free conferences and present. And oh my God, somebody wanted me to pay the entrance to get into the conference. Bass. I was like, I'm like, you want me to present? Like, I'm presenting at the conference, I'm doing a workshop for you, and you want me to pay you money to go? I can't. I just can't.
Wow.
And so that's why, like, I love social work because they're like, I can't present at these social work conferences. Like, there's very few that I can do. So that's why I'm breaking out, or not breaking out, but trying to get into like the mental health space in general because there are other industries that need expertise, like that need the mental health expertise and that can pay us. And so, it's like people need the information
Right.
and I am willing to give it to them, but I also have to be able to pay my own bills too.
No, absolutely. And shout out to social workers who actually creating their own conferences
Yes.
and having social workers, present. And so we got Millennial Social Work Conference. I know Eva Ford's doing a social work
Social
entrepreneur
work wealth conference.
wealth conference coming up in October, and I already got my ticket for that, so I'm looking forward to that. Took my PTO days. I'm like, I'm ready for that conference.
Nice.
So,
Nice. I
and
will be a speaker there too.
yeah, that's so I know that's why I brought you on the podcast so you can
Oh.
talk about it. And shout out to Christina who you also spoke at her summit that she did. Christina was just on the podcast recently, so she did a whole beautiful summit that I gotta watch the replay for day two still. So but
Yeah, she
how
specializes in the entrepreneurship. So it was like the
yeah.
social work entrepreneurship summit. And then she has a mastermind for that. Like, yeah, I just love the work that people are doing. It's beautiful.
Yes, how did that come about for you to, I know you were talking about podcasting and you did a great job and
Thank you.
now how did that come about just for listeners who or viewers who like I want to speaking engagements like how do I get in like what's the give me the hookup.
Yeah, yeah. So, especially for these past two conferences, so the Social Work Entrepreneurship Summit and then the Social Worker Wealth Conference, um, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret, which isn't so secret, but it's because I knew them already.
Mm,
Like I had known both the women who put on the conference. I've known them for like a year, maybe 2 years. Like I've worked with Eva for maybe 3 years now. So I've been able to surround myself with a lot of people who are doing big things and they remember me. And so it's really, as cliche as it is, like it's about who you know.
mhm.
And they asked me, they approached me. And it's all about like getting in those spaces. So I was glad. So last year I went to, wait, was it this year? It was this year. I think in June. What was it? I feel like the last time they had the Millennial Social Work
Yeah, that
Conference. So
was
that
this
was
year.
in
That was in March.
spring.
Yeah,
Yes,
that was
thank
in
you.
March. I was joking around with you that you was doing the swag surfing in the conference.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I went there and Christina and Joy were both there. And so I was able to meet up with them. We did dinner, we hung out. And so from there, it's just, building on those relationships. So being able to surround yourself with the people who are doing what it is that you want to do is really going to be the key. And the first step is really what you're doing, Bass, like getting into those conferences.
Mhm.
And when you're in there, it's not enough to just like sit there, which I know you don't.
A little bit.
You got to
Be
network.
honest. I network a little bit, but a little bit. I'm getting better.
You got to network or even or even approach the presenters at the end or message them at the end and like see if you can get connected. And the great thing about having a podcast is it gives you a really good reason to build these relationships with people who you want to be in their circles.
Yeah, that's great tidbits.
Yeah. So it's all about networking. And
Mm.
another tidbit, because I'm an introvert and I
Yeah,
like,
so am I. That's why I was like,
yeah, it's oh man.
you don't
Another
come across as an introvert.
it's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of work. So I was a kid, like all through high school, I was like, oh, good. I have one friend. Okay, now I don't have to like try and talk to anybody else because I have one friend. I'm not a loner. Uh, but it took just like a lot of work and a lot of practice. And my thing that helped me kind of overcome my fear of networking and talking to strangers is my social work skills. And it's essentially just be more interested in them than, as opposed to like trying to make yourself seem more interesting.
Mm.
Right. So if we come from a perspective of curiosity, like, hey, I've never met you before, like we're at the same event, like tell me, what do you do? Tell me more about that. Like that sounds like, how did you even get started in that? Right. So coming from a place of curiosity, and if they reciprocate, chances are they will, like, oh, tell me a little bit about you. Then that's a good way to kind of break the ice and
Mm.
go from there, is just to use your social work skills. Because I know we can all do assessments and ask
Yes.
people hella personal questions on the first day we see them.
Even if we don't want to, it's part of our job to do that. So it's no,
Yep.
that's so true. And I had a thought in my head, and like as soon as it came in, it went right out. Oh yeah. So even like in like grad school for um, my listeners and viewers who are in grad school currently, you gotta make those connections while you're in school, while you're in the classroom, because you just never know. Somebody might, or I know for me, like there was many of us who were working and going to school at the same time. So we were already like working in the field, and some of us like were supervisors or whatever, just working and going to school and kind of like, all right, I need this degree so I can get the heck out of this job and go to the next job. So kind of build, and I wish I did that more in grad school, but I had grad school sometimes was like a blur for me between juggling
Same.
a marriage, and then I had my son, and it was like just
Yep.
work. And like there was one semester I went to work for like 2 hours, ran to like literally like ran to school, like took the subway, ran to my class, and then ran back to work from one class for an hour, ran back to finish my day at work, and plus to do an internship right afterwards. So it was like,
It's
nah,
hectic. Yeah, I
yeah.
worked full time during my master's program too, and it's a lot. And same, that's my number one regret, is that I didn't network with people or just get to know them a little bit better. Because when you're going out there and applying for jobs, and maybe one of them is a director, and they see your resume come across your desk, if they know you and if they recognize, like, oh, I went to school with him, like he was cool, I think I could work with him, like let me call him in for an interview. As
Hmm.
opposed to if they don't know your name at all,
Yeah.
like who are you to stand out, right? And it was a super small social work world.
Yeah, it really is sometimes. Sometimes be really small.
And you can just
Uh,
use that same tactic, like if you're still in school or wherever you go, just be more interested in the people, that in the person that you're talking to, like, oh, you're in social work too. What made you want to help people,
mhm,
right? Or like, do you live around here? Where are you from? Do you work? Tell me about your job, because that way, or internships, oh my gosh,
mhm.
you can get the inside scoop from all the internships, so after you graduate, you know where you want to apply and where you don't want to apply.
No, yeah, absolutely. And even like in job boards, because I still get the emails even though I'm not actively looking, and I'll see like a job I applied for like 3 years ago, and they hiring again. I'm like, no, I know you guys don't have the money to expanding. Somebody left. You're like looking to fill the role again.
Yep. Yep, for sure.
That's so going back to the speaking engagements real quick. That was definitely like some good tips in like networking. And sure, we did an event like that was already like a year and a half, like 2 years ago. That how to monetize like social media event.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I almost
Yeah.
forgot
That
about that.
was good.
Yeah,
That was
that was
good.
really good. We had a good turnout too, and just and you know people who signed up that like I had recognized from social media, and like did a couple of their events, and was like, oh, I know you from this, and kind of like go from there. So it was definitely a good experience. That was, especially like public speaking and doing the panel, that kind of like help, you know, doing the public speaking. It's not as easy as it looks. Besides having like my communications degree and having to do presentations in undergrad and all this stuff, and I did a radio show in undergrad, so like this is like me behind a mic is like nothing new, but I'm definitely a introvert uh by trade and by nature. And
Yeah.
I still got the New York in me to be like, who the heck are you? Like, what do you want?
Oh man. I know I went down because I'm in California and we're not very warm and friendly either, generally speaking. But I went down to New Orleans this past weekend and man, they are so friendly. Like that Southern hospitality, everyone's like saying hi. And if you go up and like talk to people, they're just like open to telling you a story. I was surprised at how friendly people are because I'm used to people like, why are you talking to me?
Yeah, that's true. Even when I went to a restaurant and I ordered some pancakes, and the waitress actually made a happy face on the pancakes. It's like,
Cute.
so so yeah. When I went to Atlanta this summer, so hoping definitely going back to Atlanta again, 2024.
There you
Maybe
go.
maybe more than once. So like knock on wood.
Yeah, Atlanta's fun
Yeah, it's hot though, but it's fun.
for sure. Yeah.
um, yeah. So what are you going to be talking about at this social work wealth conference that it's been getting some good buzz? Like I heard like Joy and Marvin from Melanie Social Work talk about it like last night. So and I see more and more posts, and I reposted it as a support to Eva. So tell me more about it.
Yeah, so I don't want to share too much, but
Yes.
I'm essentially going to be talking about using podcasts for innovation and for social change and how you can
Mhm.
go about doing that. So essentially, like how to get started. What do you need to know? What are the basics? How do we pick a topic? How do we figure out like logistics and scheduling? And is this something that people want to commit to? Because it is a commitment.
Yes, it
And
is.
money's not going to just come flowing in your door when you get to 10 episodes. Like there's a whole strategy to monetizing a podcast, especially if you're not a celebrity or you don't have a lot of money.
Mhm.
Then you definitely got to know, you know, kind of what you're doing and do it intentionally.
Mhm. Even something related into, because obviously I'm trying to monetize a little bit, and I did have a paid sponsor earlier this year, and trying to work on having another one to finish the year. But even like reaching out to social work entrepreneurs who have a business, and like even something like that, like is not being taught in grad school. So it was like reaching out to people was like, yeah, I'm interested. How does that work? I'm like, I don't know. We need to try to figure out how that would work like this. Like there's no framework or try to come up with a framework, and that takes time and effort too, and like the little bit of time that I got with my hour and a half,
Yeah,
3 hours on the road. I'm tired. Like by the time I get home.
yeah. No, I covered that in the how to start a podcast guide. Did I send you a copy of that?
Yes,
Okay,
I started. You'll get a review very very soon. I
thank
started
you.
looking at it, and I started and stopped. So,
It's big. It's like
no, you did a great job with that. I was
that
like,
was
oh snap! It's
that
like
was part of the
I'm at to
feedback I
refer.
got.
Hey, you did that on your own, like
Yeah, I mean, I looked at like research and look some of the other things that famous podcasters and actually like big successful podcasters have done, and just integrated all of that into the book. And I did get some feedback though that it's a lot, and I need to kind of like it sounds like I need to do more writing and kind of break things down. And people want
hmm.
graphics in there. So it's very dense, but it's definitely worth the $47 that I'm charging right now.
No, it looked just like skimming with. No, it looked good. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to like refer you to my writing coach because it looked
Yes,
good.
I need a publisher.
Or you can self-publish yourself. You need no
I
publish.
know. That's the plan because it's massive. There's no way I'm not publishing this thing.
Yes.
It has to be published, but it's just
So we could
at what
talk.
time?
We 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 can have a offline off podcast talk about that. So
All right.
we're gonna get you published.
All right, deal.
Yes.
You heard it first here on the Social
Yes.
Workers Rant podcast.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be published with a podcast book one day.
Yeah. Very soon. Maybe we plan it out. Maybe by the end of 2023. That'd be
I don't know about that soon. Maybe end of 2024.
Oh, okay. try try to get you some Christmas money.
Oh, thank you. I'm like one thing at a time. I'm just trying to start the speaking engagements.
But that's the thing is like I just from me, knowing you a little bit and just seeing your posts and stuff, like yeah, all these ideas and want to do all these things, and it's like how to figure out this entrepreneurship, try to want to focus on this, and it's like really need to try to focus on one thing myself. I can't like just the last 3 years is like I had all these ideas that I don't know, maybe it's like the COVID antibodies that came in me from the very beginning, like of 2020, and it was like whatever idea struck in my head, it was like I'm gonna do a business. I was like, I told my wife after the fact, like already I filed the LLC. Oh, by the way, I like filed a business
Yep.
and paid this money for the LLC, and it's like started podcasting and like literally on my bed with my phone, just like this over my mouth, and started talking while I'm sitting on my and laying in my bed. So it's like, and then the book came out. It's just the word. The book was like out of nowhere. Then like Erica Sandoval came up to me about being on Atlantic Social Work Volume 2, even though I wanted to be in Volume 1, but Volume 2 was better. Volume 2 is definitely a juicier book than the volume.
Okay.
No shade, but Volume 2 is definitely more juicier.
Well, I wanted to be in volume 2. Maybe I'll be in like volume 3 or 4. We'll see.
Well, that Volume 3 is already in the works.
Oh, dang. So volume 4. It'll be real juicy by then.
The anniversary of the book is coming out like as of this recording, like next week. It's already been a whole year that book's been out, so it's
Wow.
it's crazy. I was going through my phone and like trying to come up with like repurpose the content. I was like, oh snap! It's already been like a year coming out, so it's exciting and definitely it's been gaining even traction still a year later. So it's really been a lot of good things.
Yeah, for sure.
And none of it, going back to our original topic, had nothing to do with licensing.
Nothing.
I did not give ASWB not 1 cent and all this stuff.
Yep. Nothing.
And it helped that the wonderful state of Delaware had a grandfathering program, and all I did was pay the fee and got my license that way.
Okay. There you go.
Which more states should be offering a grandfathering program, especially if you're got like 10 years in the field, like post grad, like you should be like already kind of grandfathered in already.
I agree, like an honorary license.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you haven't been sued, there's no files of complaints against you. So here you go.
And especially if you don't want to do clinical work, it's like just have it. And then the license looks good when you're doing like speaking engagements or introducing the people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my license. So it does, you mentioned the procedure, so it does like ring off the tongue and kind of people look at you like, oh, okay. Like, tell me more.
Yeah.
But it's like, you don't need it. It's like the aggravation of studying, making the time to study and then taking it for 4 hours and pass or fail, and you be failing like a couple points like I did a few times, and it's like gotta wait the 90 days to pay again, and it's like no, never.
Yeah. And
Never.
it'll be interesting to see like where this goes, because after that report came out, essentially saying that the exam is like racially biased.
Which we already knew that.
Yes, we did. They just confirmed it for us.
Yes.
But it'll be interesting to see like what they do with this, if anything, and how this plays into the interstate
Interstate
license.
compact, right.
Yeah. So we'll see. It'll be interesting for sure.
And it's funny to me how NASW, the national chapter, has kind of been. I saw something recently about the compact, but they've been like a little too quiet as to like what's happening, what's been going on.
I feel like that's just their vibe though. They really don't say much about anything. I think that like they'll release a statement or something about what they think, but
Them and their statements.
that's
I'm
kind
tired
of
of
it.
their
That's
statements.
yeah, and they're like, read our statement. This is what we said. And that's it. And that's all you'll hear from them.
Okay. I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but that's why like you and I and all of these other people who are doing events and being
Mhm.
entrepreneurs and providing services and doing coaching services and helping out fellow social workers, like that's why we're all here, because the big organizations just aren't, they're not doing it.
Mhm.
And so we see this need that needs to be filled. And so here we are stepping up, which is a beautiful thing.
No, yeah, absolutely. Is yeah, all the systems are failing us, the workers, and we see it and we recognize it, and we are trying to get back the profession one way or another. So, and kind of as learning as we go on and making mistakes as we go on and kind of figure things out. And all we ask is just patience, follow follow along the journey. That way, for the next generation, things will be smoother and better, and there's more people of color in the workforce and social work. And, I see more men, and it's like which is extremely important because we need more men in this field.
Yes.
Like, uh, I'm sad to see myself being the only one worker.
Yes, yes, for sure. No, it's true. And we're just getting started. Like I know
Hmm.
you and I, we're gonna be around here for a long time. So we're gonna be one of those
Yes.
OG podcasters. Uh, but I'm excited to see what's in store for us.
No, yeah, looking forward to it. I'm still coming up with ideas. I want to say rebrand, but redoing my business model for my business, and that's been busy doing that in the works, and hoping to get something going. Hopefully by the end of this year, and definitely full throttle 2024 as this
Yes.
has the side gig, and who knows how I can with it. It turns out good, maybe be full time.
Hey, that's exciting. Yeah, it'll
Depending how the
happen.
full time job how things go. So for now, the full time it's been good. Besides that long drive, I don't really have any issues.
Good. That's important.
Yeah. So what? I mean, what else you got going going on? Well,
Besides all these
well,
things.
well, how do you balance? I know you're a mom. How do you juggle, maybe balance is not the right, but you know, being a parent and working and like you change jobs and you're doing online therapy, but you got your business and the Rise Directory and your podcasting consistently, and you do take breaks, but it's still consistent. And like how do you balance juggle all that?
Very carefully and very purposefully. So I purposely set up my schedule to where I can work generally between like 9 to 2, but lately it's been whatever, 9 to 5, which is fine because I typically work from home. And when I'm off work, when I'm done, I try my best not to be in front of my phone or on my computer after 5. And for sure on the weekends, I try my best to just be present with my family. But it's hard, especially when your work and your income comes from the internet it's tempting to like just respond and reply. And you always get these like ding, 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 all these notifications, which drive me crazy. So I do have, I'll put my phone on silent or the to stop the notifications for a little bit. But yeah, I just try to be very, very intentional and then maximize the days that I do have for work is like work. And I try to really stay focused on that and then schedule in some extra time to just be with family and to take a nap and to relax. And so I'll give myself those times too to just like I'll call them like free days. So whatever it is that comes up on that day, but no podcast recording, no scheduled anything, just whatever it is that I need to do on that day. So that's how I try to make it work. But I feel like it's always a work in progress because families are always changing, dynamics are always changing.
No, yeah, especially as kids get older, like make things happen or whatever. Like they get into activities and like I do this, do that, and it's like, right, I gotta take away. I gotta take away from something in order to add on something new. So it's always a work in progress.
Definitely. Yep.
And I was struggling for a while podcasting, like yourself. You're in California, and like the time difference was kicking my butt for a while. Scheduling people.
Yes, it's hard. It's hard, but we make it work.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about making it work somehow, some way, making it all work. And definitely get that nap. You mentioned the key word: getting your sleep,
Yes.
getting your nap, and yeah. So like I said, I was up to like 4 o'clock, so I'll be like sometimes I like pass out, other times I'm like I should be sleeping, but I'm not tired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But ultimately, like I really love it because I'm able to take care of me. If I need a mental health day for myself, like I just can't today, then it's up to me, right? Like
Mhm.
I don't have to show up for 8 hours and like torture myself if I'm not feeling it. So for that, it makes it worth it.
No, that's good, and that you have that self awareness that like you need that, for you, and like I ain't got it today, and you can just focus on you because working at a job and it's like I don't got it today, but you gotta like push
Yep.
through somehow, and it's like no, all right, I'm gonna take my lunch and like kind of focus or myself at the
Cried over my sandwich.
or even like on the way, decompress like on the way to work and then like decompress on the way back home, and it's like all
Yeah.
right, I
That
did
hour
it.
drive can be good though, like to listen to podcasts and music. And it's like that
Yeah,
that barrier, that boundary that separates you from work
get it.
into your personal life.
That's my time when I'm the most extrovert is in the car, like singing the top of my lungs and like jamming in the car,
There you go.
and then you're annoying me by being like have your tail lights on. Like I'm annoy you by like you're gonna see me dance in the car and, and reduce my speed and like you force you to go around me. So
Maybe do like the ranting social worker and just like it's all your drive time rants.
these Delaware drivers will get the finger if necessary, and we'll get yelled at.
There you go. Well, stay safe out there.
Yeah, I'm trying. Trust me, I'm trying. These drivers are ridiculous.
I bet.
What else you got go? Well, anything else you have going on?
Sorry. No, that's about it. My computer's gonna die. No, that's about it. So we got, let's see, Social Workers Rise podcast. We have the Social Work Wealth Conference coming up. If you need a clinical supervisor, join the Rise directory. If you need a mental health speaker, hit me up. And
Hit me up
and
too.
then the podcast book. And that's it. I think that's it.
That's it.
And hit up Bass too, yeah, for mental health speakers.
I get my new podcast shirt.
There you go.
We trying. It's got all these different ideas.
There you go.
Oh, where can people find you?
So I am on Instagram at Social Workers Rise. And then I'm also on LinkedIn. I think my handle's like Catherine LCSW or something like that.
Yeah.
And those are my main platforms. Of course, you can find the podcast on all major platforms. Social Workers Rise. Make sure to check it out. And if you like it, hit subscribe. I'd love to have you as part of the community.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely subscribe. I listen to when I can, and just like, oh, there's a topic. Uh, no, you're doing amazing work. I'm proud of you.
Thank
Keep
you.
up the great work. Um,
Thank you. And definitely subscribe. If you're listening to this, subscribe to Vass's podcast if you haven't already. Give him
yes,
5 stars and
yes,
tell him in the reviews what you love about his podcast. Like, why do you listen? Because that goes a long
yes.
way. Like it takes maybe a couple minutes of your time, but it really, really helps Vass out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, please do. And of course, the YouTube has been growing too. So subscribe to the YouTube. They changed their way, so try to get the 500 required to get the monetization. So
Okay. All it takes is 500.
right now, yeah, they changed it from 1,000 to 500, and there's like they changed the watch hours. I think went from I think it's like 1,000. Well, I forgot how many watch hours now, but it got reduced.
Okay.
And yeah.
Maybe I'll give more attention to YouTube because I have not been, I'm on there, but I don't really go on there.
Yeah, that just added to like the extra work, podcasting work. But I wanted to see how people know like the name with the face of the podcast and the names and faces to people who I interviewing. Just kind of like, oh, I know that person or whatever. Just trying to get out of that extrovert and see put the name with the face of people. Because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got into a couple events and like and I mentioned like introduce myself and when I mentioned the podcast, I'll be like, oh yeah, I heard the podcast. It's like okay, I'm the
Oh,
face
yeah.
producer. My son did the theme songs and so but it's me. I'm the face. It's like
Okay,
oh
that
okay
makes
okay
sense. That makes sense. Yeah, because I just put my face right there on the podcast cover. So people pretty
yeah.
much recognize me. I got recognized at wine tasting one time and I was like, oh no, was I acting a fool? Like, what was I just doing?
I, I actually got recognized at the HIV conference I went to in DC earlier this year. Like one was it, a person came up to me and was like, "I listened to your podcast." I was like, "Oh, stop!" Got a fan at the conference.
That's awesome. I love that. And it's funny, like speaking of getting known, right? So I haven't talked about this, but I recently had a video go viral. Like this week, it's going viral. I think it's at like, let me see. But well, I'm gonna check right now. But it's not always a good thing to have your stuff go viral. Because now I have all these random people messaging me like they're not social workers, they're not my people. They're like commenting, oh, it 5.3 million views on this reel that I put out. And I'm like, oh man, I
What's
got
the
like,
view
I don't
about?
know, maybe 200 followers like overnight.
Really?
So I can send it to you. But
You put it
basically,
on Instagram?
I don't know if you can see that. So it's this dude. He's driving down the freeway in California, and his Honda has like no car doors on it.
I think
And
I
there's
saw
like
that.
chains on the side. And he's just jamming out. Like he's having the time of his freaking life, listening to music on the freeway. And I put happiness as a mindset.
Hmm.
And that's it. And like it has been shared over 5 million times, or not shared, but viewed over 5 million times. And so I get like this influx of people, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I want this many people to know to know who I am all at one time. Because it's different when they're social workers, because I trust social workers more than the general population. So we'll see how this works out.
I did ask you one final question. I don't no, I mentioned the governor. I don't know if you follow him too much, but I know he's already been interviewed quite a few times already recently, and like gearing him up at least a little bit to be one of the candidates for 2028, or at least always his name has always been like thrown in there. He's a fairly good looking guy, and California is a huge state, and all the red states can't stand New York and California. So,
Yeah.
what from a social work perspective, what have you seen him do or could be doing better? Like if he ain't doing good for the constituents of California, what makes him gonna run the country? So just wanted to get your 2 cents from it.
I'll be honest, I don't follow politics all that much, but from what I've seen, is he really seems to be like for the people who don't have a lot of money. And so he'll put in places and like think like resources that help people who are in poverty, like to help us kind of uplift each other. And I know that I just sent him a letter or through the NASW California. They're trying to pass where the social workers don't have to put their home address out there on the internet. Because right
Mm,
now, when you register, you have to put your home address and it's a safety concern. So we're trying to get that through. But I think he's good. I mean, he's very democratic. I think he's good. I would probably vote for him over some of the other people that I've seen because he is smart. He's likable. He does seem like he's for the people. So, with that said, do your own homework,
yes, absolutely.
and find out for yourself.
Why is
But
it
yeah,
so expensive
I'm
out
not
there?
mad at it. Oh my gosh, so expensive.
Why?
I can't even afford to go out to lunch because it'd be like $40 for like two sandwiches. It's crazy out here. Crazy. Don't get me. That'll be a whole nother rant. Like, don't even get me started on that. I think our gas is like
uh,
damn near $6 today. It's crazy.
Chiefs. Okay. Okay, so I won't complain about the 339, 349.
No sympathy. No sympathy here. That's why, like, when you get off the airplane in Orange County, all you see are Teslas. Like, it has to be like the Tesla capital because so many Teslas are here. Because we can't pay the gas.
Mhm. Yeah, I wanted to go to Cali on 2 different occasions this year, and it was like I wanted to go for a weekend and was like, I'm better off paying to go to PR for a week than for a weekend in California. Because I was trying to, my wife graduated with her master's in speech language pathology, but the graduation wasn't in Northridge. She graduated from Cal State Northridge, and I was like, let's try to go to Cali and like go to your graduation. I was all for like, let's go to graduation. Let me see you walk down the aisle. And I was looking at prices. I was like, dang, never
Mm-hmm.
mind. We go to DR, we go to PR with that money. Like, no.
I mean, a good hotel room is gonna run you at least 350 a night.
And that's like New York pricing right now.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
crazy.
See, that's why I can't be volunteering for all these conferences. I can't afford the hotels.
Exactly, because you paying for a hotel, you paying for food. You gotta make sure if you book a hotel, make sure you have like free breakfast because it saves some
Right.
money. Or be in a shopping district that you go anywhere for lunch or something, and it's like no, like we need to get you want to speak, like we need to at least pay for the registration fee, like complete registration fee,
Yeah,
and
because then
then
there's my stress level of
yeah,
traveling and leaving my family too, like leaving my
mm,
comfortable bed. You got to pay me for that too.
and these conferences are far. Like you want to, they have me go like 2 hours at least by plane, go somewhere to do a conference and speak or whatever. And even the
Hmm.
local conferences, like it's unless you're doing it virtual, like it's still like you got to pay. And then I know the NASW California got a conference coming
They
up,
do.
and I finally found it on online,
Okay, I
and
could
it
have
is,
sent you the link.
but I was like, I'm sure like you know, Cali's not easy to get around by car. So like depending where you go. So it was like it costs money with gas. Gas is expensive. Mentioned it's like $6, $7 in gas, so
Yep.
a gallon. So it was like all that money in gas for not to get paid to speak, it's not worth it.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. So, well, thank you so much, Bass. This has been fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to you soon.
All right. See ya.